So then back to the point about how do you allow for creative destruction in a situation where the government is presumably spending and spending and spending to get to full employment, especially in a situation where you're stimulating via those tax cuts?
All right. Well, again, I think there's just a tendency maybe to think about stimulus and we're just focusing on the government spending side. But I keep trying to emphasize that MMT is at least as much and sometimes more about the tax side. And so we're not talking about, MMT is not advocating that the government go out there and rescue every underwater homeowner and every bankrupt business and throw money all over the place simply because it has the capacity to create the currency. You're going to have creative destruction with or without MMT being implemented to try to achieve full employment. So we're just talking about using the government's power to change taxes and change spending, and spending is about national priorities. It's not about impeding creative destruction. To allow everybody who wants to contribute, wants to work, if we're going to expect people to be self-sufficient and not be on, government handouts and all this kind of stuff, we need to create an environment that has the capacity for these folks to do well, so that when they go out and look for a job, there's a job opening for every job seeker. We never do that. So we're just talking about improving the macroeconomic policy. It's not about preventing creative destruction. It's not about picking winners and losers. It's not about throwing money willy-nilly around. It's just trying to do some smart things with our economic policy. And I share your distrust of what you're observing there in Washington. I mean, they've earned this reputation, quite frankly, and so it is difficult to imagine the group that we see year after year up on the Hill getting together and doing the right thing. But this is part of why I think MMT is so important, because it empowers people. Once the people realize that the government has the capacity to do this and that they don't need to be calling on us to share in some sacrifice. I'm tired of hearing shared sacrifice every time I turn on the TV. I'm tired of listening to the president tell us that we need some pain. This is going to be painful, but we've got to impose this pain on the people in the economy. It's empowering for the people to know that that isn't the case, that the government doesn't have to start pursuing austerity now.
Professor Kelton, I just want to get in real quick because I don't really have much time left. I only have a minute. I do want to ask you if there's any economy currently where you see an MMT philosophy being implemented. What is the best comparison that exists?
Well, again, so much of MMT is about describing how things work. Now, most governments don't take advantage of all the fiscal space that they have as currency issuers. And what we see, unfortunately, is kind of a world gone mad where everybody's chasing the austerity train down the track.
So would China be a comparison, more of a state capitalist system where the government is spending a lot?
Well, they're spending a lot, but it certainly doesn't look like any model that I think any MMTer would advocate in terms of figuring out what you need, national priorities. If all you're doing is building a bunch of buildings that sit empty and so forth, this is not compatible with anything that we would advocate. So I don't see people getting it right anywhere at the moment. Now, there have been examples where governments have done some job creation programs that have had some success, that have been modeled on something like a job guarantee, like some MMTers have proposed over the years. But on a grand scale, I'm afraid nobody's come close to getting it right.